Finally did it, man. I gave in, hopped on the bandwagon, and gave it a shot. I finally caught up to One Piece. 1,103 chapters of peak fiction cleared. It's crazy. I used to be a hater, but I didn't understand how much of a grand masterpiece this series truly was. And as I was reading this masterpiece, I noticed that Oda, the writer of the story, likes to include the characters that he's introduced in the final battle against the big bad. Even characters like Ultima still contribute a lot in the final battle. And being the magnificent consecrator that I am, I thought of a topic of discussion. Today, I'm here to discuss the MVPs of each One Piece arc, or at least the ones that are on the screen. Some arcs like Zero Village are too lackluster or too small to have any MVP discussions about. MVPs will be decided by how much they contributed to the overall conflict and how much they influenced the team's success. Basically, you're going to choose a couple of characters and then talk about what they did during the arc and then finally choose the MVP. So sit back, relax, grab some snacks, and enjoy the video. Manga and anime spoilers ahead. Arc number 1, Baratie. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I barely even remember what happens during this arc. I do remember the Dawn Creek pirates tried to destroy the Baratie after they had got spawn camped by Mihawk. And after such a traumatic experience, Dawn Creek went yapping on about how terrible the Grand Line is, even though it's literally sunshines, rainbows, and cupcakes, bro. I mean, the way bro was describing it, you would have thought Griffith started the eclipse over there or something. It's not that the Grand Line was terrible, he just had terrible luck. Bro ran into a Warlord of the Sea and realized he was not built for this. But anyway, the MVP would go to Luffy. Zoro had his little moment against Mihawk, even though he was getting worked by a butter knife. And Sanji was cool too, I guess. I mean, he really do anything besides beat fodder, so. Wait, never mind, he even do that. Arc number 2. Arlong Park. I remember the conflict of this arc being the Arlong Pirates' reign of terror over Kokoyashi village. They didn't like humans, so they basically enslaved them, kinda. And then the Straw Hats came originally trying to get Nami back, and they ended up destroying Arlong along with Arlong Park. The Straw Hats were putting in a lot of work during this arc. Nami freeing Zoro and saving Usopp, Sanji saving Luffy from drowning while fighting a fishman underwater, Usopp protecting Kokoyashi village, and taking down one of the Arlong pirates. Zoro took down multiple fishermen by himself, handling straight business. But the MVP will go to Luffy. He destroyed Arlong Park, symbolizing Nami's freedom, and freeing Kokoyashi village, and he defeated Arlong. But let's be real here, if Arlong was using his blue hawk, he would have packed up Luffy in 2 seconds. Arc number 3, Loguetown. I know I said I was going to skip over small arcs, and I would, and still am, but the only reason why I'm going to talk about Loguetown is simply to express my hatred for Dragon. After reading the recent chapters of One Piece, I just can't stand him, bro. He heard that Jenny got kidnapped and did absolutely nothing. And I don't want to hear no lame excuse talking about he was the leader of the revolutionary. If he started a war with the Marines, it would have been GG's for them. He wasn't really even that big at the time, and even if he was, who cares, bro? Go spin back. Luffy would have spun back. Garp would have spun back. Why doesn't Dragon spin back? Short answer, because he's a fraud. But in Loguetown, he saved Luffy and made sure that the Straw Hats got away. So sadly, I'm gonna have to give him the MVP. But don't get it twisted, Dragon K. Arc number 4, Whiskey Peak. Imagine the scenery. Your teammates are slumped because they were partying all night, and you're left alone by yourself while there's 100 bounty hunters coming for your head. What are you doing in that situation? A, warn your teammates and try to get out of there? Or B, run away by yourself? Well, if you're Zoro, your answer will be C. Stand on business. He was off the Hennessy, 1 man against 100, and still came out on top with little to no injuries. Zoro is him. Let's just go ahead and analyze the fight, because the way these guys got done dirty is absolutely insane.
And another gravestone shall be added to the cactus rocks tonight.
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
After Zoro had exposed them for who they truly were, they knew that they had to get bro knocked off. They looked back and bro was gone. Look at them, flabbergasted. They didn't have a clue in the world where he went. He disappeared and reappeared looking up. Man, I sure was high up. Looking at. After they had realized where he was, they quick drew immediately and started blasting. But Zoro disappears and these guys go out in the sorriest way imaginable. Imagine getting to heaven and having to explain this is the way that you went out. Oh, y'all ran into John Wick, huh? No, we just missed every shot.
Incompetent morons! They just shot each other!
I feel your pain. This is the type of stuff I go through when I play with randoms. The rest of the bounty hunters stressing, trying to figure out where the pirate hunter went. That's when Zoro reappears like a magic trick, trying to give bro a fresh cut.
Ask yourself, will one gravestone really be enough?
No, you're right. Let me add a couple more. Bro knocked off some of his teammates and tried to make it seem like an accident. He realized he wasn't strong enough and switched teams faster than Kevin Durant. Then they started talking like they're not just a bunch of background characters talking about some they're finna lock in. Meanwhile, Zoro's around the corner absolutely geeked, trying to figure out how he's gonna slice these guys up with his new swords. Then boom, one of them sneaks up from on top of the roof. But of course, he misses. They got him trapped inside of a house now. Surely they'll hit every shot and finally pack him up, right? Really? Only 3 holes? Y'all shot at least 20 bullets and only hit the table 3 times? Terrible. I've seen stormtroopers with better aim. Then they got one tap like the background characters they are. They cornered him at the rooftop and he just started deflecting every single attack, slashing here, slashing there. They even tried trickery, but Zoro wasn't having it. He said F them kids. Zoro wasn't even taking it seriously. He started packing them up like Looney Tune characters. That one of the big bosses decided to stop ducking and handle business, which I ain't gonna lie, she was kinda doing low-key. But then Zoro came to a realization.
Wait a minute. I'm white.
He was beating them so bad, he had them contemplating whether he was actually the captain or not. After going through the tape, need I say more? Zoro is the MVP for Whiskey Peak. Arc number 5, Little Garden. Now, this is one of those arcs where it's a little hard for me to decide who the MVP is, because so many important key events happened during this arc. Sanji role-playing on the phone made it to where the Straw Hats had a free ticket to Alabasta. Usopp committing friendly fire made Luffy lock in so he could free the other Straw Hats. And Baratie and Dory used the power of friendship to destroy the Island Eaters so the Straw Hats could get away safely. But through a lot of hard thinking, I've decided to give Luffy the MVP. With the assist of Usopp, he was able to free Vivi, Nami, and Zoro, and later defeated Mr. 3. Shout out to Baratie and Dory though. Arc number 6, Drum Island. After the events of Little Garden, Nami ended up catching a sickness. In search of a doctor, the Straw Hats came across Drum Island. This island was being ruled by a tyrannous king by the name of Wapple, and Luffy being the liberator he wasn't having it. But first things first, getting Nami a doctor. And in order to do that, they had to climb atop a mountain. But this wasn't no normal mountain. Climbing up this mountain would make Mount Everest seem like a cakewalk. Luffy, while carrying Nami on his back, was beating up snow monsters with ease. He did have a little help from Sanji though. But after accidentally causing an avalanche, Sanji got knocked out. But this absolute unit said, nah, none of that matters. I'll carry them both on my back. And at the top of this mountain, there was like a vertical part or something. So he had to vertically climb up 5,000 meters, mind you. And with no equipment. Bro was in flip-flops climbing a 5,000 meter vertical mountain bare hand while carrying 2 fully grown adults on his back. Is that not MVP plays? That's why Luffy earns the unanimous MVP for this arc. I didn't even mention the fact that he spun back for Chopper and protected Hero Luck's flag. Rest in peace Hero Luck, by the way. He was like the first anime character that I actually cried for when they died.
When do you think a person dies? When a bullet from a pistol pierces his heart? No. When he's attacked by an incurable disease? No. When he eats a soup of deadly poisonous mushrooms? No! A man dies when people forget him.
Man, tears every time. Arc number 7, Alabasta. Yet another arc where it was hard for me to decide the MVP. A lot happened during Alabasta with every Straw Hat and associate of the cause putting in pain. Robin reviving Luffy, Hell sacrificing himself and tanking a nuke, and Bon Clay securing the Straw Hats getaway in brilliant succession were all big time plays. But the votes came down to Sanji and Luffy. Not only did Sanji fool Crocodile once in Little Garden, but he fooled him a second time in Alabasta in his own casino, freeing Luffy to where Luffy could then later beat Crocodile, making it rain in Alabasta once again. But the most valuable person is undoubtedly Mr. Prince. While Luffy did beat the big bad, which was Crocodile, he lost 2 times before that. And Sanji fooling Crocodile was a top 10 clutch of all time. Arc number 8. Jaya / Skypiea. At first I was gonna skip over Jaya because I don't want this video to be too long, but then I noticed that I'm only like 9 minutes in, and if anyone is still watching at this point, congrats, you don't have the average attention span of a TikTok consumer, and I really do appreciate that because Jaya does have a lot of interesting moments that I do want to talk about, like Bellamy's introduction. When we first see Bellamy, we see that him and another pirate captain are playing a card game. They were playing for money and Bellamy is pissed because he lost, which is understandable. They're pirates, they ain't sweeting these seas. But he could have at least been respectable and just be upfront with bro and say that he didn't like it and then take the money from him. But nah, instead he accuses him of cheating and then packs him up in the craziest way possible. Bro shot him 3 times and then kicked him out of a 4-story building. And in the manga, if I'm not mistaken, he lit him on fire before doing all of that. So from this moment forward, I knew that this guy would be a problem. Not because he's strong or anything, but simply because the guy's out of his mind. Bellamy had then walked into the same bar that Luffy and Zoro was in, and then offered Luffy a drink. Luffy thought they was gonna be buddy-buddy, but after we saw what he had did earlier, it was clear that that was not the case. He then smashes Luffy's head into the bar, and as a viewer, I was thinking in my head, oh yeah, Luffy's finna get back up and knock bro out of his shoes. And then I see Zoro draw his sword, and I'm thinking to myself, oh yeah, Zoro's finna remove his head from his shoulder. And then Bellamy starts talking crazy, talking about some, oh, this is a test to see how strong you really are. So now I'm hyped, thinking that Zoro and Luffy finna tag team this guy. And then Bellamy goes even deeper and calls Luffy's dream to find the One Piece childish, which is a pretty big violation in itself. You know the Straw Hats don't play when it comes to Luffy's dream. And the only reason why Bellamy was even able to talk this much is because Luffy had made a promise not to fight in this town. And because Luffy is a man of his word, he had ordered Zoro to back off. Shout out to Luffy and Zoro for keeping their composure though. If that were me, I would have crashed out. Because there's no way I'm letting Doflamingo's plaything talk to me like that. But it's clear that Luffy was feeling the same way too. Because after Bellamy stole from Cricket, he got one of the greatest and most satisfying get-backs of all time. But anyway, the MVP would go to Cricket. He made sure that the Straw Hats had a way to get to Skypiea, and in my opinion should have been their shipwright. At least while they were up in Skypiea. That way he could actually see the gold that his ancestor was talking about. And I forgot to mention earlier that I was going to add 2 MVPs in this segment, since I'm talking about Jaya and Skypiea and I just mashed them together. With that being said, the MVP for the Skypiea arc would definitely go to Eno. Oh, y'all thought the MVPs were only for the good guys? Nah, villains getting them too. I have to give respect where it's due. Eno was knocking everybody off, low diff. He only lost to Luffy because Luffy conveniently had his counter, aka plot. So he knows the MVP for the Skypiea arc. Arc number 9, Water 7. Water 7 slowly but gradually grew my love for One Piece. After sitting through Skypiea and then Long Ring Longland, Water 7 was the ultimate refresh. After the Frankie family had jumped Usopp, that spin back was crucial. Their entire house got ran down. And that battle of respect between Luffy and Usopp was one of the most emotional fights in the series. And let's not forget CP9's introduction. When they showed up, we knew that they meant business, and it might actually have been GG's for Robin. This whole arc was just beautiful, and it had multiple memorable moments. But I've collected my thoughts, and I've decided to give the MVP to Sanji. As far as the solo performance goes, he just had the best one. He found Robin and was the first to start business on the train. I would like to give an honorable mention to Sniper King though. He's just so cool. Arc number 10, Enies Lobby. An exhausting battle to get Robin back is the best way to describe this arc. Both sides were fighting through blood, sweat, and tears to get Robin back. I mean, who wouldn't? It's Robin. But the picks were in between Sniper King and Luffy. Luffy for obvious reasons. He got things started with defeating Blueno and then later defeated Lucci. And Sniper King was the team's main support pretty much the entire time. Sniping down the flag and the Marines are no small feats. But sadly, I'm gonna have to snub his MVP because it's going to Mary. She was on the brink of death and still clutched up to get the Straw Hats out of there. MVP plays. Rest in peace to the Going Mary. Arc number 11, Thriller Bark. Honestly, I don't understand why some people don't like this arc. I thought it was pretty funny and was great comedic relief since we just watched Enies Lobby, which is definitely one of the more darker arcs of One Piece. And a lot of that comedic relief came from a certain group of bones named Brook. When Brook was introduced, I was very excited to see how well of a straw hat he can be, and I definitely was not disappointed. Bro had the remedy and melody of a perfect straw hat, a sad backstory, unique wacky power, a hobby, and the most important, cold entrances. When he showed up to save Frankie and Robin, he told them not to worry since he already got the situation handled. Both Frankie and Robin were confused, and so was I. As a viewer, I was thinking in the back of my head, what is bro finna cook? Frankie and Robin pretty much threw everything they had at the spider monkey, and their attacks barely did anything. So surely this old bag of bones isn't gonna do anything either, right? I couldn't have been even more wrong. We didn't even see the attack. He just called out its name. The reverse humming, arrow notch slash. Huh. No Difty. This moment right here made me immediately fall in love with Brooke's character. All of this is to say that the MVP will go to Brooke. Not only did he save Frankie and Robin, but he also came up with a way to free everyone else's shadow. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend I was unanimous. I'm not biased after all. Luffy taking down Moria, and then Zoro saving Brooke, taking down Ryuma, and then it was something else, but I don't remember. Arc number 12. Sabaody. I don't care what anybody says. You can call it recency bias, but Sabaody's MVP undoubtedly goes to Kuma. After what Kuma had did on Thriller Bark mixed in with his title as a warlord, I'm pretty sure everyone thought that he was op number 1. But no, Kuma went out of his way to save the Straw Hats, placing his daughter's future in Joy Boy's hands. Honorable mention to Rayleigh though, since he did intervene with Kizaru. Arc number 13, Impel Down. This arc reintroduced us to some rather familiar faces, and perchance unlikely duos, like Bon Clay and Luffy, Buggy and Luffy, Mr. 3 and Buggy, heck, even Crocodile teamed up with Luffy. And we even got some new help like Ivankov and Jinbei, all with one common goal: free Ace. And even though they failed in this goal, they all still put up max effort. Buggy and Mr. 3 helping Luffy get to the lower levels, Crocodile and Jinbei helping Luffy get back to the upper levels, and Ivankov nursing Luffy back to health would all make them MVP contenders. And before I get to the MVP, I would like to give an honorable mention to Magellan. Magellan was single-handedly carrying that prison on his back. Those other scrubs weren't doing anything to stop Luffy. Had it not been for Magellan, Luffy definitely would have saved Ace. And if his only goal was to stop Luffy from saving Ace, then he definitely would have got the MVP. But as the warden, he was supposed to make sure that no prisoner escaped, which he failed to do thanks to the true MVP, Bon Clay. He tricked the Marines into thinking that he was the real Magellan, securing everyone else's escape, sacrificing himself. And before that, he fought his hardest to get Luffy to Ivankov. And as Luffy was going through a lot of pain, he was there right by his side, cheering him on to fight through it. Bon Clay went from working with an oppressor to saving a liberator. What a road of redemption. Arc number 14. Marineford. This is the war arc of the series, so of course it's gonna have multiple MVP plays, like Marco clashing with Kizaru and Shanks stopping the war. But we all know who the MVP is. Say it with me. Whitebeard. This guy Whitebeard was 70 years old and had cancer and was still standing on business. He pulled up to the war, sunning everyone. Whitebeard was embarrassing every high tier in the verse. What happened to Psychobozo? 2-tap. What happened to Midzaru? 1-tap. What happened to Jumpbeard? Whitebeard with no Delver Fruit. 1-tap. 267 swords, 152 gunshots, and 46 cannonball wounds, along with half his face missing, and he still died on his feet. Whitebeard is the GOAT. And had it not been for Ace being an idiot, he would still be alive to this day. Rest in peace, Goatbeard, bro. Arc number 15, Fishman Island. Choosing the MVP for this arc was dang near impossible. This whole arc was just a flex fest for the Straw Hats. A grand opportunity to show what they have learned in the past 2 years. Everyone on both sides had multiple highlights, and everyone on both sides had multiple help from other people. But if I had to choose, it would most likely be Straw Hat Luffy. After Luffy had showed Hody that humans are superior, he influenced Otahime to call for the Sea Kings, which saved Fishman Island. Arc number 16, Dressrosa. If there was any arc that made me think One Piece was the greatest story ever told, it was definitely Dressrosa. Everything about this arc was just peak. The villain was evil, the backstory was incredibly sad, and the overall emotion was just top tier. There was nothing in my 15 years of living that had me on the edge of my seat more than Usopp's clutch. We all know Usopp, the overly pessimistic guy who claims that he wants to be a brave warrior of the sea, but fails to do so pretty much every single arc. Honestly, I don't blame him. Look what he had to go through after accepting Luffy's offer to join the crew. He had to deal with warlords, ghosts and ghouls, dangerous sea monsters, dangerous seas. That's why I feel like he's the realest Straw Hat. But man, when I tell you that he not only surprised me but made me insanely proud this arc, after Leo and the other Tontadas had got clapped along with Robin, Usopp accepted the fraud allegations and told them the truth. You're right, I'm not a brave warrior of the sea. But as a member of the Straw Hats, I ain't no bum either. He stood on business against Trouble and Sugar. He got clapped, but still hopped out there and pulled the greatest clutch in One Piece history by knocking out Sugar, freeing the toy slaves. And then he later awakened Observation Haki, and then hitting one of the most insane shots in One Piece and saving Luffy and Law by knocking out Sugar again. It's like Usopp is more clutch than Damian Lillard when he's going against girls. Arc number 17. Whole Cake Island. Whole Cake Island was a lot similar to Dressrosa, but instead of emotion, it was the dialogue I enjoyed the most. Everyone was talking crazy, especially to Big Mom. She was getting no respect. What did Jinbei say? My captain is the future king of the pirates. I cannot be afraid of a simple emperor. Tough. And the fights were spectacular. Luffy versus Katakuri was peak, and I really do respect Katakuri. And after what, 5 arcs of Sanji being the worst simp imaginable, he actually was cool for once, creating a cake that was beyond even Big Mom's wildest dreams. And of course, I can't forget Pedro's sacrifice. Rest in peace, Pedro. But the picks were in between Brook and Jinbei. Both rookies proved that they were more than worthy of being a Straw Hat. Both made big plays and boxed with Big Mom, an Emperor of the Sea. And even though securing the rope poneglyph was a clutch play by Brook, it would have been in vain if Jinbei and the Sun Pirates didn't help them escape. So the MVP for the Whole Cake arc will go to Jinbei. Arc number 18, Wano. Alas, the arc that influenced this whole video. Everything about this arc was just peak fiction. The storytelling, the emotion, the fights just hit all the right places. And who's more fit to have the MVP of my favorite arc than my favorite Straw Hat? Monkey D. Luffy. Luffy fulfilled Ace's promise by bringing fresh water and food to the whole country of Wano by defeating Kaido, the strongest creature alive. But he couldn't have done it by himself. When they said to always bet on Kaido in a one-on-one, they weren't kidding. It took the Akazaya 9 who were trained by Odin, supernovas, and a Logia awakening of probably the most dangerous devil fruit to take him down. Kaido was that guy, but I'm still gonna have to give the MVP to Luffy. Throughout Straw Hat's journey, he has surpassed everyone's imagination time and time again, and he's only 19 years old. He's competing with warlords, admirals, and emperors who have been in the profession for years, all for one purpose: freedom. And I feel as if that's a goal everyone should strive for. A life free from suffering, war, hunger, and many other problems we deal with today, be it internal or external. One Piece is more than just a story, it's a message. Sorry for getting all sentimental out of nowhere. If you made it this far and enjoyed the video, why don't you go ahead and subscribe? It's free and harmless. Only if you want to though. Remember to drink water and stay productive. Thanks for out.